Welcome everyone. My name is Sahil Singh and I'm currently studying the vast field of psychiatry autodidactically, which really means I'm doing it on my own. Thank you all for coming to the first of its kind Mindful Gamer lecture series. So to let you guys know why I called this the Mindful Gamer series, a few years ago when I was interacting with a few psychiatrists, I came to realize that the community really does not know much about video game addiction as a whole. And I realized that the reason for this is because most of the people who are kind of at the forefront of psychiatry and psychology, they're like experts, right? So they're really in their 50s or 60s. And if you look at the people who are like chiefs of psychiatry, so for example, I interacted at this place called Massachusetts General Hospital, MGH, and another hospital called McLean Hospital. And the chief of psychiatry at MGH is this guy named Jerry Rosenbaum. Very knowledgeable guy, which is why he is the chief of psychiatry over there. But he's a little bit older, and he's like, never really played video games all that much. So all of the people who are kind of leading the field of psychiatry, like the president of the American Psychiatric Association, all of those people are like a little bit older, right? And they haven't really had experience playing video games. So they don't actually know what it's like to really play video games, and they really struggle to help people with the video game addiction because of this. So what I started to do is I got kind of curious about it, and I realized that actually none of my mentors or leaders in the field could actually tell me much about it because they themselves didn't know much about the video game in general, or video games in general. So what I started to do is I started to work directly with gamers. So I just started talking to people on my Steam friends list, and then over time, as I started talking to more and more people, I started getting more and more emails. Word of mouth got around, and I ended up working with around 50 to 60 gamers and spent hundreds of hours within the last 3 years really developing and honing what's going on with them. Recently, I even started to get requests to work with some professional video game players in terms of things like stress management. So I just started working with people and trying to figure out, why is it that you guys like playing video games at all? And really, what can I do to help the addiction, be faltered? One of the first things I realized when I was working with these people is that I don't think addiction is really a great term in general to put on these people. I think that is the biggest part of the problem. We try to tackle this beast, video game addiction, the same way we try to tackle drug addiction, alcohol addiction. And we try to apply it to new phenomenon like video game addiction. And so we kind of sort of lump all these things together, but in my personal opinion, there's a huge difference between someone who is an alcoholic and someone who's addicted to video games. I myself was very close to dropping out of college because of my own personal video game addictions. So it was when I was like in freshman year, and so I was like there, you know what I mean? And I still feel like I haven't changed. It's not like my addiction got cured. It's just that my gaming used to be what I called problematic. And now it's become healthier. So it really used to really interfere with the goals I had for myself and interfere with my life. Like I remember sleeping through Spanish final during my freshman year. I was playing Diablo 2 until like around 4 in the morning. And I remember my alarm going off at 7:30 and the final was an hour ago. And essentially, I just turned off my alarm and went back to sleep, unfortunately, and really failed Spanish class. And because I just slept at the final. Now, that is a problem, right? That's when your gaming has become a problem. And now I still play games. I still enjoy playing games. I'd love to play more games, but I'm too busy doing this stuff with you guys instead of actually playing games. But that's okay. I'm okay with that because I feel like this is something I find meaningful and fulfilling. And so games have become kind of more recreation for me. And that's where I'd like to help you. So it's not about whether you're a video game addict and not about or anything like that. We will talk a little bit about how you decide if your gaming is a problem or how do you decide if you're an addict. But what I really want to do today is help you guys learn how to be a mindful gamer. So in the addiction world, you know that there's an idea of abstinence. Only if you're an alcoholic, it's like you go, 10 years sober, and you're really never allowed to have another drink again, or even a single drink again. My understanding is that video game addiction is very different because there are a lot of people I work with who used to have really problematic gaming habits, who still enjoy playing games, but they're really doing fine in life now. One of the people I actually work with is a really successful entrepreneur. He currently makes 7 figures a year, and he still plays games, video games, for like 30 hours a week. And I think he's okay with that. And I think that's fine also. I think if you are doing everything that you want to do, and it's already done, you are allowed to play the video games, of course. So today what I wanted to do today is kind of just start by reframing a little bit. So the first thing is that it's not about whether you're an addict or not. I think where I need to start helping you guys understand why you play video games in the first place, and what functions video games serve for you. Also, we also need to think about, how do video games shape you? How do they change your brain? How do they affect your neurochemistry? How do they affect your ability to form relationships and your ability to solve problems? Because they definitely do. They definitely do. When a human brain does something for 4 hours a day, pretty much every day of the week, whatever activity they're doing is going to change their brain. If you think about someone who plays music for 4 hours a day, it's going to change the way their brain works. It's going to change the way that their auditory cortex develops. And in the same way, gaming shapes you guys. So the goals of these lectures is not necessarily to overcome addiction, but to really gain a more understanding about yourself and understanding about how the gaming you do on a regular basis, for let's say 4 or 5 hours a day, shapes the person that you become or who you are. And so today we're going to go over a couple of different topics, and we're going to talk about just some general things, sort of an introduction to gaming and how you know whether it's a problem or how you know whether it's an addiction. We're going to talk about some new things really involving cognition. So how does gaming change the way you think? How does gaming change the way you approach problems? We're going to talk a little bit about neuroscience because one of the things I actually really found with gamers is that they're actually really good at dealing with complicated information. And it's one of the reasons that I love working with you guys, is because I can actually talk about technical neuroscience, and bizarrely, it does not go over your heads. You guys are actually able to assimilate and use that information in a way that very few of my patients can. So we're going to talk about neuroscience. We're going to talk about cognition. We're going to talk about cognition. We're going to talk about some general principles, and we're also going to talk about relationships. So we'll talk a little bit about how you form relationships, and how sometimes you can even develop them in video games itself, which is really cool. We're also going to talk a little bit about the different types of emotions that gamers feel. So my hope is that by helping you guys understand a little bit about how you are and how you work, your emotions work, and how your cognition works, and really how you form relationships to begin with, what's happening in your brain, you'll be equipped with the information so that you can really get a proper understanding of really your gaming and just how your mind overall works, how the mind and the body works overall when gaming. And really, you can eventually get control over this person that you are, and by getting control over yourself, my hope is that you can move in the direction that you want to, and stop being a problematic gamer and start being a mindful gamer.